Dear children, in this module we are going to learn about population interactions. How the organisms they interact with each other so as to form biotic community. There are different types of interactions which is taking place in a particular population. And if the interaction is taking place between two species, it is called as interspecific interactions. If it is taking place between two species, it is called as interspecific interactions. There are different types of interspecific interactions within a population. They are mutualism, competition, predation, parasitism, commensalism, and amensalism. So let us learn each in detail. Now let us learn how it is described. Mutualism. Mutualism is a type of interaction where both the species are benefited. We can see two species A and B. If both species are benefited, it is given as a positive sign. You can see both the species are represented by a positive sign, and that type of interaction which both the species are benefited is called as mutualism. Competition. Both the species are harmed. Both the species are harmed, and species A and B, they are represented by a negative sign. Predation. One species is benefited and one species is harmed. Who is benefited? The predator is benefited, and who is harmed? The prey is harmed. So the predator is represented by a positive sign and the prey is represented by a negative sign. Again, the parasitism, it is similar to predator. One is benefited and the other species is harmed. Who is benefited in parasitism? The parasite is benefited, and who is harmed? It is a host who is harmed. So the parasite is given by a positive sign and the host is given by a negative sign. Negative sign, it implies the negative impact, and positive sign, the species who is being benefited or the species who is being harmed is given by a negative sign. Commensalism, one is benefited and one is unaffected. Only one species is benefited, which is given by positive sign, while the other one is neither benefited or harmed, and it is represented as 0. And amensalism, again, one is harmed and the other is unaffected. We can see one is harmed and the other is unaffected. So let us learn first about predation. Now let us learn about the first type of population interaction, that is predation. Predation is a type of population interaction in which the predator is benefited and the prey is harmed. In a broad ecological context, all the carnivores and herbivores, they are predators. They are predators, that is, they feed on a prey. And about 25% of the insects are phytophagous, that is, they feed on the plant. They feed on the plant. If a predator, it overexploits its prey, then the prey might become extinct. If a predator overexploits its prey, then the prey will become extinct. And what happens if the prey becomes extinct? It results in the extinction of the predator. Is it clear? Therefore, the predators in nature are prudent. That is, they show utmost care. They have a thought about their future because they know that if the prey is overexploited, it will become extinct. And if the prey is extinct, then the predator also will become extinct over time. Predators in the population or in an ecosystem, they have very important role. The first benefit is that predators helps to control the prey population. For instance, if an exotic species is introduced into a geographical area, that new species which has reached a geographical area can invade or they grow at a very fast rate because it does not have its natural predator in that new ecological area. For example, the prickly pear cactus. This is a prickly pear cactus. There's nothing but the opuntia, which is introduced in Australia in 1920. Caused havoc. That means it started to grow at a very fast rate. Later, it was controlled by introducing a cactus-feeding predator, that is a moth. When the moth was introduced into Australia, it controlled the growth of this or invasion of this or fast invasion of the prickly pear cactus. So that's how the predators control the prey population. Predators are used in biological control methods in order to control the prey population. And predators, they maintain the species diversity in a community by reducing competition among the prey species. If the predators are not there, what will happen? The prey species will start to compete with each other. So the predators, they help to maintain the prey species. Why? If there is competition among the prey species will decrease in their diversity. So it helps to increase the diversity of the species. For example, the predator starfish Pisaster. This is the Pisaster starfish in the rocky intertidal communities of the American Pacific coast. In an experiment, all these starfish were removed from an enclosed intertidal area. And what happened when this Pisaster was removed experimentally? It caused extinction of over 10 invertebrate species within a year due to interspecific competition. Okay, so this is the predator, namely the Pisaster starfish, and it is found in the rocky intertidal communities of the American Pacific coast. And when experimentally these Pisasters were removed, within a year about 10 invertebrate species came to a decline due to the competition among the prey species. That's why it is told that the predators helps to maintain the species diversity. The prey species, they have evolved a certain defense mechanism, defenses of prey species to lessen the impact of predation. Now let us learn how they defend against predation, how the preys defend against predation. They camouflage, that is cryptic coloration of some insects and frogs, and some are poisonous. Camouflage means they mimic in order to escape from the predator. In this picture, we can see a frog which has camouflage to its environment. We can see a frog and also a leaf insect which is sitting on a leaf, and it just mimics or it just looks like a leaf. And some prey, they are poisonous. For example, the monarch butterfly is highly distasteful to its predator bird. The predator bird does not like eating this monarch butterfly because it is highly distasteful. It is due to a special chemical which is present in the body of the monarch butterfly. It is acquired during its caterpillar stage by feeding on a poisonous feed. During the caterpillar stage of this monarch butterfly, it feeds on a poisonous feed which helps to develop a chemical within this body. And this chemical is highly distasteful to its predator, that is the bird. And thus it is having a protection against its predator. So that's the first type, that is camouflaging or a presence of a poison. Third is the presence of thorns. Most of the most common morphological means of defense of plants is the presence of thorns. For example, in acacia, cactus, they have thorns which protects them from the predator. And many plants, they produce chemicals that make the herbivores sick. We just told that herbivores are also predators because they feed on the producers, that is plants. And most of these plants, that is, they produce certain chemicals which makes the herbivore sick and inhibit feeding or digestion and disrupts its reproduction or kill it. For example, the calotropis, this is a calotropis which produces a poisonous cardiac glycoside. It produces a poisonous cardiac glycoside. We know the calotropis is fed by cattle or goat. And what happens due to the presence of these cardiac glycosides which is poisonous, cattle or goats do not eat it. The same way, certain other chemicals which inhibit the predators from feeding on these plants are nicotine, caffeine, quinine, opium, strychnine are defenses against grazers and browsers. So these are the defense mechanism which the prey have developed over the period of time in order to defend itself from the predator. That is the presence of camouflaging, the presence of poisonous substances within them, also the morphological adaptations like presence of thorns and also chemicals which are poisonous to the predators. So dear children, in this module, we learned about the first type of population interaction, that is predation. And we also learned how the predators are important in an ecosystem. We also learned how the prey has adapted or evolved certain defense mechanisms in order to reduce the impact of predation. Thank you.